He was young, handsome, healthy, and adored by millions. Yet in the early hours of November 27, 2019, Godfrey Gao collapsed on a Chinese reality show and never got back up. The world was told it was sudden cardiac arrest, but the deeper investigators looked, the more things stopped adding up. Why did it take so long for medical help to arrive? Why were timelines changed, footage deleted, and witnesses silenced? What really happened in those final minutes before one of Asia's brightest stars fell to the ground, gasping for air? This wasn't just a tragedy, it was a scandal hidden in plain sight. Tonight, we're peeling back the layers of secrecy, silence, and sorrow behind the shocking death of Gao Yixiang. Subscribe to Criminal Tracks for the stories they don't want you to know, because behind every official explanation, there's a truth someone tried to bury. It was close to 2 in the morning in Ningbo, a coastal city in eastern China, when the cameras were still rolling. The production lights turned the night into a false day, and the cast of the reality show Chase Me were still running, climbing, and sweating through another exhausting challenge. Among them was Godfrey Gao, tall, calm, and unfailingly polite, the kind of celebrity who never complained. He had already been filming for 17 hours, but his face showed no anger, no sign of ego. Those who worked with him said he carried himself like a professional athlete, never asking for breaks, always trying to finish strong. That's what made the next few moments so haunting. During one of the obstacle runs, Gao slowed down. He stumbled slightly, his breathing heavy. Witnesses said he muttered something like, "I can't go on," before collapsing face first onto the ground. For a second, no one reacted. Some thought it was part of the show, a staged fall, another test of endurance. But then the silence spread across the set as crew members realized he wasn't moving. Panic followed. Staff rushed toward him. The cameras stopped. Someone shouted for the medical team. CPR began within minutes, but time felt frozen. Crew members later recalled the sound of his sneakers scraping the pavement as he fell, the thud echoing louder in their memory than it had in real life. Gao was taken to an ambulance waiting outside the set. It sped through the empty streets toward Ningbo Yonghe Hospital. For more than 2 hours, doctors tried to restart his heart. At 3:30 a.m., the hospital declared him dead. The official statement listed the cause as sudden cardiac arrest. He was 35 years old. News spread fast, and confusion spread even faster. Initial reports conflicted on the timeline. Some said he collapsed at 1:45 a.m. Others claimed it was earlier. Zhejiang Television released a short message saying he had fainted while running, and that rescue efforts were immediate. Fans were not convinced. They wanted to know why a healthy athletic man, known for his strict fitness routine, could suddenly die on set. They wanted to know how immediate the medical help had really been. On social media, clips of the show's previous episodes began to circulate. Viewers noticed how extreme the challenges were: racing through construction sites, climbing skyscrapers, dangling from wires over city streets. Everything was filmed at night, often under cold and windy conditions. Participants had spoken before about the grueling pace, about filming until sunrise, sometimes without proper rest or food. In the hours after his death, Zhejiang TV suspended the show, but gave few answers. A hashtag calling for Chase Me to be cancelled began trending across Weibo. Fans accused the network of negligence, saying the show had always been reckless. The others shared stories from past guests who had described exhaustion, dizziness, and a lack of safety checks. Gao's friends, many of them fellow actors and models, expressed shock. One of them said he had spoken to Gao the day before and that he seemed fine but tired. He had joked about the intense schedule, saying it was crazy but manageable. Those words would later haunt everyone who knew him. Behind the public grief, the mystery deepened. How could someone like Gao, who was known for his discipline and good health, suffer a fatal heart attack during a game show? He wasn't a chain smoker or a drinker, and he worked out daily and maintained a clean diet. His modeling background with Louis Vuitton and his acting career demanded physical perfection. The simple answer, sudden cardiac arrest, didn't sit right with anyone. Netizens began to dig for clues, tracing the sequence of events through eyewitness posts. Some claimed Gao had already been feeling unwell before the final segment. Others said production kept pushing despite his exhaustion. Those on set described a tense atmosphere that night. The show was shot under pressure to maintain ratings, and the team was known for pushing its cast to their limits. It was said that Godfrey tried to keep up with the younger contestants, refusing to slow down even as his pace faltered. He was competitive, not out of arrogance, but professionalism. He didn't want to let anyone down. Witnesses said that before the collapse, he was drenched in sweat, his face pale under the harsh lights. Yet he kept moving until his body simply gave out. When paramedics arrived, some claimed the production crew seemed disoriented, unsure whether to keep filming or not. The confusion of those minutes would later become the focal point of all the anger that followed. When the hospital pronounced him dead, producers scrambled to control the narrative. Official statements came quickly, but they were vague, leaving more questions than answers. Some reports described the medical response as swift, while others hinted it had taken too long for anyone to realize he was in danger. Gao's family, who were in Taipei at the time, flew to mainland China immediately. Their grief met by flashing cameras and reporters crowding the airports. His father reportedly broke down upon hearing the news. His longtime girlfriend, Bella Sue, was said to have fainted several times during the funeral weeks later, her silence becoming one of the most haunting images associated with his death. Fans flooded social media with tributes. They shared clips of his laughter, his interviews about kindness, his dedication to every role. They called him the perfect gentleman. But beneath the sorrow ran a steady current of anger. Many demanded to know how a primetime television show could allow such a tragedy to happen. They wanted transparency, footage, and accountability. Instead, Zhejiang TV stayed mostly silent. Their brief statements focused on condolences rather than responsibility. Within days, the hashtag #SuspendChaseMe had millions of posts, turning public grief into a full-blown online protest. In the following weeks, more inconsistencies appeared. Some on-site staff claimed the filming conditions were worse than what viewers saw. They described freezing temperatures, heavy physical demands, and long hours without proper rest. The network denied these claims, saying the production followed safety guidelines. Yet no detailed report ever surfaced. Rumors spread that the raw footage of the incident had been confiscated or erased. Whether true or not, the silence of the network gave those rumors more power. By then, the story of Godfrey Gao was no longer just about a celebrity's death. It had become a symbol of overwork, exploitation, and the human cost of entertainment in modern China. And for millions of fans who adored him, the question wasn't simply how he died, but why no one stopped it from happening. After the shock faded, a heavier wave of suspicion took over. The initial sorrow that swept through fans across Asia began transforming into something else. A quiet, collective anger directed at Zhejiang Television and the producers of Chase Me. The network's behavior in the aftermath only fueled the doubts. Statements were carefully worded, timelines seemed inconsistent, and many felt the truth was being managed rather than shared. Insiders whispered that raw footage from that night had been archived before investigators could see it, and no one outside the production team seemed to know exactly how long it took before real medical help reached Gao. Some witnesses said it was 3 minutes, others insisted it was closer to 20. That gap became the heart of every theory that followed. A few staff members spoke anonymously to local journalists, describing chaos on set. One said the crew had initially assumed Gao was acting or simply resting. The lights were bright, the cameras were rolling, and exhaustion was common on that show. No one thought he was in danger until his body didn't move anymore. One crew member allegedly said. There were also rumors that filming continued for a short while after his fall, that a director shouted for the cameras not to stop because they believed he would get up in a moment. Although the network denied these claims, the silence from Gao's family and the absence of official footage left fans unconvinced. People began demanding a full investigation, not just condolences. Online forums filled with speculation about how the production treated its guests. Leaked call sheets suggested participants were working through the night with only short breaks. Former contestants described the show as punishing and said medical supervision was minimal. One recalled signing a waiver acknowledging the physical risks before filming, something that made viewers wonder if responsibility had already been shifted away from the producers. Zhejiang TV insisted that paramedics were stationed nearby, yet they never released clear proof or timestamps to back their claim. Instead, their public relations department released a bland apology about the tragic incident and canceled future episodes. For many, that looked less like compassion and more like damage control. There was also confusion surrounding the hospital's records. Some reports indicated Gao arrived at the hospital already without a heartbeat, while others claimed doctors were able to detect faint signs of life. The exact time of his death was also inconsistent across sources, adding to the uncertainty about whether he could have been saved. Social media detectives started piecing together screenshots and leaked messages, trying to map the timeline of that night. Some claimed that ambulances were delayed because the filming location was partially blocked by production equipment. Others suggested that the nearest hospital had not been informed in advance to be on standby, despite the physical nature of the show. Then came whispers about the contract and insurance. Entertainment insiders alleged that celebrities participating in such high-risk programs were covered by expensive insurance policies, sometimes reaching millions of yuan. The idea that Gao's life was insured for a significant amount made people wonder whether the production had financial motives to downplay negligence. Again, nothing was proven, but the lack of transparency only strengthened public suspicion. Fans flooded Weibo with questions, asking for answers that never came. Each unanswered post made the mystery feel darker. Meanwhile, Gao's girlfriend, Bella Su, became a silent figure in the storm. In the first few weeks after his death, she did not appear in public or speak to the media. Her absence gave rise to new rumors that she had been told not to discuss the details of that night. When she finally broke her silence months later, her posts were emotional but vague. She wrote about pain, loss, and how she still dreamed of him. She mentioned that he had been exhausted from constant work, but never imagined that it would end this way. Many interpreted her tone as restrained, as though she was saying as much as she could without crossing a line. The network tried to repair its image by promising internal reviews and stricter safety measures. They hosted a memorial, invited industry professionals, and released a tribute video calling Gao a hero who gave everything for his passion. But it came across as performative. Most fans saw it as an attempt to shift the narrative from accountability to sentiment. Chinese media outlets that tried to pursue deeper coverage reported facing editorial restrictions. Articles critical of Zhejiang TV were quietly removed within hours. A journalist from one outlet wrote that some questions are no longer allowed to be asked. That simple sentence ignited an online firestorm before it, too, was deleted. Then came another detail that sparked disbelief: the claim that Gao had been working for more than 17 hours before the fatal challenge. People shared screenshots of production schedules and text messages supposedly exchanged between crew members. Even if only half of those leaks were real, they painted a disturbing picture of exhaustion and negligence. It became hard to tell which version of the story was accurate, but all of them pointed to the same conclusion: something was terribly wrong behind the scenes. The controversy widened when fans discovered that Zhejiang TV had been involved in previous safety scandals. Years earlier, a contestant on another of their programs was injured after performing a dangerous stunt without protective gear. Another star had been hospitalized for heat exhaustion on a different show. None of those incidents had led to serious reforms, and critics said Gao's death was the inevitable result of a network culture that prioritized spectacle over safety. As the weeks passed, public anger grew, not just in China, but across Asia. International outlets began reporting on the case, describing it as a cautionary tale about overwork and the darker side of entertainment. Some compared it to Japan's notorious karoshi culture, where people literally die from exhaustion. The idea that a beloved actor could die for the sake of a TV program struck a nerve. It wasn't just a tragedy anymore. It was seen as proof of how far the industry had fallen. Behind the uproar, rumors persisted that private settlements were reached between Gao's family and the network. The family's decision not to pursue legal action fueled theories that compensation or non-disclosure agreements had been arranged. No official confirmation ever came. Friends who attended the funeral described it as somber and quiet, with little media presence. What lingered in everyone's mind was not just grief, but disbelief that the full truth might never be known. Gao's death had exposed something far bigger than one man's heart giving out. It had exposed the cracks in an entire system built on pressure, speed, and silence. Months turned into years, but the questions surrounding Godfrey Gao's death never truly faded. Instead, they transformed into an open wound that kept reopening every November when fans across the world lit candles and posted tributes under his name. For many, it wasn't just about mourning a beloved actor. It was about the unresolved sense that someone had to be held accountable. The mystery of that night, filled with contradictions and missing details, had become a symbol of how fragile life could be under the weight of fame and expectation. The Chinese entertainment industry tried to move on, but Gao's death forced a reckoning that could no longer be ignored. Government regulators soon introduced new safety rules for reality shows, demanding stricter oversight, shorter filming hours, and mandatory on-set medical staff. Yet those reforms were viewed by many as an indirect confession that the old system had failed him. If safety reforms were necessary now, people asked, then why weren't they in place before? Zhejiang TV issued another statement months later, expressing deep regret and promising to learn lessons. But by then, few believed the sincerity of those words. In Taiwan, where Gao's body was laid to rest, his family chose silence over confrontation. They withdrew completely from public view, avoiding interviews and legal proceedings. This decision, though understandable, only fed speculation. People wondered whether the family had been pressured to accept a private settlement, or whether they simply wished to grieve without media intrusion. Some fans argued that silence was their way of honoring his memory, while others felt it protected those responsible. Either way, the truth remained locked away, hidden behind closed doors and confidential agreements that no one could verify. Meanwhile, the rumors grew more intricate. Some fans insisted there had been evidence of a delayed rescue, citing anonymous posts from alleged crew members. Others believed the tragedy had been minimized to protect powerful interests in China's broadcasting industry. There were claims that the unedited footage of the night had been destroyed. There were even darker whispers, stories about Gao collapsing twice before help arrived, or that he had begged to stop filming earlier, but was told to continue for one last take. None of it could be proven, yet every rumor found an audience eager to believe, because each version seemed more believable than the silence. On social media, Gao's final words, "I can't go on," became haunting symbols of exhaustion in an industry obsessed with perfection. Fans shared them alongside his earlier interviews, where he spoke about working too much and needing rest. Some interpreted those remarks as eerie premonitions. Others saw them as a reflection of a deeper truth about celebrity culture, that exhaustion, both physical and emotional, had become a silent killer. Gao's death was now being studied in journalism classes, written about in op-eds, and cited in discussions about the moral limits of entertainment. Internationally, the case took on a life of its own. Western outlets described Gao as the man who died for a game show, a headline that angered his admirers, but also captured the absurdity of what had happened. The phrase spread quickly, becoming both tribute and accusation. He was remembered not only as Asia's first Louis Vuitton male model and a rising global star, but also as the victim of a culture that blurred the line between ambition and exploitation. His image, tall, graceful, smiling, became a reminder of everything that had gone wrong that night. Over time, the theories quieted, but the sense of injustice lingered. Every few months, new threads appeared online, revisiting the incident with fresh outrage. People who had never met him wrote that they still couldn't watch his shows without thinking about how it ended. His death had become part of a larger conversation about work culture, accountability, and the cost of entertainment in modern China. He was gone, but the shadow of what happened to him continued to follow an entire generation of artists who began demanding safer conditions and respect for human limits. For his fans, the pain never truly faded. To them, Gao Yixiang was more than a headline. He was a symbol of humanity lost in a system that demanded too much. His story lives on as a question with no answer, a mystery that refuses to close. Somewhere between the silence of his family, the denials of the network, and the whispers of those who were there, lies a truth that may never be revealed. But the tragedy of that night in Ningbo continues to echo, reminding everyone that even the brightest stars can fall. Not from weakness, but from being pushed too far. Years later, the mystery still haunts everyone who loved him. Godfrey Gao's death wasn't just about a heart stopping. It was about a system that pushed too hard and then stayed quiet. The unanswered questions, the missing footage, and the silence that followed turned one man's final moment into a mirror of an entire industry's darkness. His story remains both heartbreaking and infuriating. If you want more stories that expose the hidden corners of fame, power, and tragedy, subscribe to Criminal Tracks, where every mystery meets the light.